The NBA All-Star tips off in a couple weeks in Cleveland, and tomorrow night, the NBA All-Star reserves will be revealed on TNT. But Matt, I have a simple question for you. Out of the Western Conference, who do you see as an All-Star starter snub?
Absolutely, you automatically start thinking Booker and CP3. But for me, honestly, it's Luka. And I think Luka, because of what he has been to the Dallas Mavericks and what he's doing this year, he's averaging over 25 points, over 8 assists, over 8 rebounds. He has just been dominating. And once again, he's the entire reason the Mavericks are relevant. And he is going to be in the MVP conversation at some point if he continues to play the way that he does. He has to be an all-star starter. He's becoming one of the faces of the NBA.
I completely agree. I get it that, the way it's set up, 2 guards, 3 front court players. And Luka, kind of fits in both, so it's kind of tough to fit him in there. But I still believe Luka is a top 5-ish player in the NBA. And it's a shame that he's not an NBA all-star starter. It's also a shame that Zach Levine was not named an NBA All-Star starter. He's been spectacular once again this season. He and DeMar DeRozan are the league's best duo this season, as I said a couple months ago. And those two should have been starting in the All-Star game, representing the Eastern Conference, as they also, lead the best team in the Eastern Conference record-wise at this point. Zach is averaging 25, 5 and 5, 48% shooting from the field, 40% from deep. Obviously Trae Young, got the nod over Zach in that starting lineup. And Trae's having another great season per usual, slightly better scoring and assist numbers, but the Hawks are 10th in the Eastern Conference. You have to reward winning. That's just been the tradition, of the All-Star game. But let's transition. Let's talk about, these reserves that are going to be revealed tomorrow night. Who do you like as your reserves out of the West?
Well, for his first ever All-Star appearance, I like DeJounte Murray, point guard for the San Antonio Spurs. Even though the Spurs are towards the bottom of the West, he has been playing absolutely unbelievable. He's one of the top leaders in assists this season and with steals, just playing great basketball. I do obviously think Booker and CP3 need to make it. Cat has been helping this Minnesota Timberwolves team get relevant again, and he's playing like the Cat that we all kind of hoped he would be and he would play. And so I think those guys are going to kind of headline it. It's going to be an exciting group out the West. And as always with the West, there's so much talent that you're always going to snub someone. Right. And unfortunately this year, I think that's going to be, Anthony Edwards and guys like Brandon Ingram, who are definitely deserving, but it's just so loaded that it's hard to find a spot for them.
It's so loaded. You're going to have some guys that are left out, some really deserving guys. I think Ant certainly has played in an all-star level this season, but it's going to be tough for him to kind of sneak into that Western reserve. But as far as me, for my reserves to the Eastern Conference, I got to start with Jimmy Butler. He's missed, a handful of games this season, but he's only one of 6 players this season averaging 26 and 6. I got to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers big man as well, Jared Allen, who is, kind of spearheaded the Cavaliers' return to relevancy. They're one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference this season. Got to rock with Jason Tatum in the front court as well. He'll probably be starting in place of Kevin Durant as he, deals with his knee injury. Move on to a guard in Fred VanVleet, who is really just continues to take a step forward. Kyle Lowry leaves, and he just steps right into that, leading point guard role. Going to another guard, LaMelo Ball. His numbers don't necessarily jump out at you, but his game is built for an all-star game. Getting out in transition, throwing lobs, catching dunks and whatnot. For my 2 wild cards, I got another Cleveland Cavalier, which is pretty crazy. Darius Garland has been hooping this season. He's been hooping at an all-star level. He's taken another huge step forward, averaging 20 and 8 this season. To close out, my wild card, my, Eastern reserves, I got to go with Domantas Sabonis. The Pacers are awful, simply put, this season, but his 19, 12, and 5 stat line this season can't be ignored. That's an all-star, caliber player right there, and he's doing it once again. But I kind of want to get your take on one more thing before we get up out of here, Matt. Who do you think is a player who probably isn't going to make the All-Star game out of the West, but you think probably should or has played at that caliber of level?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Ant and Ingram right off the top of the bat, those guys clearly deserve it and I think are very much deserving of it. But your guy Desmond Bane as well. I mean, Memphis is playing unbelievably well this season. Ja Morant is clearly the main catalyst for that. But guys like Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane have been huge step ups, and they're not where they're at right now, and not, fringe title contenders and clear Western Conference Finals contenders without them and without the way that they're playing. Make sure that Desmond Bane gets into an All-Star game soon, NBA, because it needs to happen if he's going to keep playing like this.
100%. I'm glad my boy Desmond Bane was just recently named to the NBA Rising Stars game, because that's what he is. He's a rising star. He just dropped 37, 7, and 4 the other night. I mean, this dude came into the league as your typical 3 and D type of guy. He is obviously continuing to tear it up from deep, but he's rounding out his game. This man is a true 3-level scorer at this point. He's turned into a plus defender. He had a massive block the other day that I'm sure everybody saw that led to a nasty Ja Morant dunk. Desmond Bane is already one of the best players on one of the best teams in the Western Conference.
Absolutely.
And this is just a start, but to go to another guy that has been playing at a really high level that probably won't make the All-Star game might surprise some people, but that's Gary Trent. Gary Trent has scored 30-plus points in 5 straight games. Players in NBA history with 30-plus points, 5-plus made threes in 5 straight games. That list is Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, Gary Trent, and James Harden. That's pretty elite company that Gary Trent has placed himself in. He's been hooping for the Toronto Raptors, a knockdown shooter who's really turning into a two-way player, which is one of the best steal rates in the league. So shout out Gary Trent. He probably won't make the All-Star game, but look out for him down the line. But that's going to do it for us. Catch us on the next episode of Simple Question. For Scott Procter and Matt Morris, we'll catch you next time.